What's going on, everybody? My name is Simon Rochford and welcome back to my channel. Before we get into things, if you could please subscribe to the channel, please help it grow, leave a like on this video, and also comment down below on what you'd like to see in future videos. That would be awesome. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's jump into the video. So you've decided to open your own photo studio. As photographers, we love gear, and maybe you're thinking about what lights you want to get, what lenses you want to buy, or maybe what camera you want to upgrade to next. But whether you're looking at headshots, portraits, baby photography, or commercial work, there are some bare basic elements that every successful studio needs. And that's what we're going to look at in today's video. My recommendation of the top 5 most important non-technological things that you need in your studio. First thing we're going to look at is the humble sandbag. Now I'm going to put this down because it's heavy. So sandbags, maybe not the most exciting thing to have in your studio, but definitely one of the most important when it comes to health and safety. What are the benefits of having sandbags in your studio? When you're taking photos of people, you're most likely going to be booming those lights either over their heads or very near to them. Now with the weight of a light, the modifier, and the fact that it's boomed out near someone, what you're going to create is an issue with balance. Yes, a lot of light stands can be quite heavy and that's a benefit. However, you are going to have an issue of having quite a lot of weight on one end. The benefits of sandbags is that you're able to create a safe working environment. Whether you have the sandbags on the feet or the legs of the light stand, or whether you have them ever so slightly higher up, what they're going to be able to do is not only create a good center of gravity, but also stop that light stand from toppling over. The benefits of not having that topple over are fairly obvious. Firstly, you're not going to damage your equipment. You could have some very expensive lighting gear on the ends of these stands, and if they were to fall, well, you need to spend more money to get them repaired. What if you have someone in the studio and that light falls over and hits somebody? Well, you're going to damage your light, you're going to hurt the person, but on a financial level, you're going to be liable potentially for damages caused by that. And the third point is that even if you don't damage any equipment or even hurt anybody, you look very unprofessional if you have bits of gear that are not actually held down properly. Maybe you accidentally trip on a light stand or something else happens and it's stable. Well, accidents happen, but it's fine. But if you did that or something happened and that light stand fell over and something broke, it's a bit embarrassing at best and somebody could get injured at worst. So yeah, sandbags are very important. And they don't need to be expensive either. These ones here I got off of Amazon. They're branded by Newer. I'm sure there's plenty of others, and they're about $20 Canadian off of Amazon. On top of that, you just get your own sand from Home Depot, double bag some Ziplocs, and there you go. The other benefit of this is that you're able to take them easy on location. Yes, they are heavy, they're meant to be, and you're able to use them very easily when you go out to shoot. The second piece of gear that I think is vital for any photo studio is the light reflector. Nice and fun to open and a bit difficult to close. The benefits of using a reflector is that you're able to do kind of 3 things in one. You're able to bounce the light by using the silver side, you're able to block light by using the black, and then you're also able to diffuse the light by the diffuser inside. Now that comes into a benefit when you're taking portraits, for example, if you're wanting to do a clamshell setup, for example. You have the main light coming from up above, and then you're able to fill in those shadows ever so slightly with the silver side underneath. Maybe you want to increase some of the shadowing on your image, maybe on one side of the face or the other, so you can use the black side of the reflector to be able to do that, to stop light bouncing around and being able to increase the shadows there. But maybe you just want to diffuse the light. You don't want to bounce it, you don't want to reduce it. Well, you've got this on the inside of your reflector, the diffusion panel. What that's going to do is going to stop down the light and scatter it slightly further. It's great when you're shooting outside and maybe in harsh sunlight. It's great if you're shooting outside in harsh sunlight and you want to soften that light ever so slightly. That helps stop the harsh shadows, but it also stops the harsh highlights as well. And maybe you're shooting inside and those lights that you've got are just a little too bright. Well, you can always use the diffusion panel to be able to stop that down a little bit and create a much more flattering look. The other major benefits of having these reflectors in your studio is that they're quite small and they can be put away quite easily. I've got 3 of these. I've got a very small one that can just be used for small portions of the face. This one here, which is ever so slightly bigger, which is good for portraits. I've got one that doesn't get used very often, but if we were shooting outside, I would. It actually covers the whole body. So you've got a great deal of uses for these reflectors. Some of them are not just 3-in-1, but 5-in-1. So one of the reflectors I've got actually has a green screen and a gray, but it actually also has a gold reflector. So if you're wanting to warm up the tones of the image, you could use that as well. I think these are fantastic and necessary for any studio when you're wanting to manipulate the light more to create beautiful images. The third thing that I think is important for any photo studio is clips. Different size clips for different things. Why do I think this is so beneficial? Well, in any studio, you're going to have wires going from one place to the other, or maybe pieces of clothing that need to get cinched in, or perhaps other things. So what are the benefits of these small little clips? Well, as I mentioned, sometimes you have a client coming in, particularly for headshots or portraits, and even though their clothes fit well for them, they're sometimes not fitting well for the photo. In general, what I've always noticed is that having clothing that's a little bit too tight looks really good. You knock out the bagginess and the wrinkles that it had normally, and you get a really nice, sharp, tapered look. How do you achieve that without having to start tailoring their clothing? Well, you can use these small clips. If you get about 2 or 3 of them and bring the clothing together at the back, then clip it together, whether it's a shirt or a jacket, then what you're able to do is able to take a couple of inches away from that piece of clothing and create a more constructed look with their clothing. The benefit of these clips is that they're very delicate, light, and small, so they're not going to damage the clothing when you're attaching it to it. This medium-sized clip can be beneficial when it comes to clipping cables. So I have a tether cable from my camera to my computer whenever I shoot headshots. And just as an additional added element of precaution and to keep things generally quite neat, I always attach a clip to the tether cable to my tripod. It doesn't really make a massive difference, but just for myself and my own peace of mind, it's nice to have that security. It can also come in beneficial if you're needing to clip any boards to anything, or maybe you're just looking to secure cables to the light stands. And this beast of a clip over here, well, this has multiple uses, but one of the main ones I always use it for is securing backdrops. So whenever you're hanging a backdrop, it's going to roll and roll and roll towards the ground. But if you have a C stand and it's boomed out and put this clip into a desired point, then you stop it from rolling. It also just makes sure that it's nice and secure and it's not going to go anywhere. So another thing that's fairly basic, but I think is beneficial, is a whole bunch of different clips. They're quite cheap to get. You can get some from Home Depot or a camera store. They're going to make your life easier and more secure when shooting in studio. The fourth thing that I think is essential for any studio is Apple boxes. I'm standing on one right now during this shoot, and I also have one that's much, much bigger. So what are the benefits of Apple boxes and how can you use them? Just as shown right now, if you're looking to add a little bit of extra height to your subject, you can easily get a much smaller Apple box underneath their feet to raise their height. Maybe your camera's set at a certain level, or maybe your lights are set, or even the backdrop, and you just need to bring them up a little bit to make your life easier. Maybe you're shooting multiple people and somebody's much taller than someone else, and you don't want to have a massive difference in heights. You can give someone an Apple box to stand on, and that'll raise them up. The other great thing with Apple boxes is that they can be used for props. So with the Apple boxes that I have here, they're varnished a dark brown color, which means that when I'm shooting, I'm able to have somebody sit on it and it actually looks like a part of the scenery that we have there. Particularly against a canvas backdrop, they look very good in a classic way. Now you could have somebody sitting on the Apple box, or perhaps have one foot on one part of it, and you're able to utilize them in different ways. You can have them completely upright, to the side, or completely flat. So there's a whole bunch of different ways that you can use these items. The only thing that you can't do with them, despite the name, is carry any apples. However, the great thing with Apple boxes is that they're light and sturdy and they can be taken anywhere. The great thing with having these little holes is that you're able to carry them very easily. It doesn't really matter whether you're shooting in studio or on location, having a few Apple boxes is going to be vital for portraits, headshots, and any other kind of shoot that you're doing. And the third piece of equipment that I think is vital is this, the C-stand. Something that's been in the background of this shot for the entire video, but is also something that is very versatile. Now, what's the difference between a standard light stand and a C-stand, and why do I think C-stands are vital for studios? Well, first and foremost, a light stand is generally just going to go up and down. You can attach a light, aim the light, and that's about it. But with a C-stand, you have this additional arm up at the top. So what you're able to do is attach that light or any other piece of equipment and boom that over towards your subject. I use this a lot when using the triangle setup or for doing headshots in general, because I'm able to get the light a little bit closer to my subject and at different angles. If I was using a light stand, for example, I could potentially be having the light and the stand in the way of my shooting. So if I was wanting to have the light directly in front of somebody's face, well, with a standard light stand, that stand would also be in the way. But with a C stand, I'm able to have it out of the way and just boom that light over. The other benefit that I found is in general, they're very sturdy and very versatile. Now I use wheels on my light stands. I got the base wheels from Strobe Pro, which I'll link down below in the description, along with everything else that I've highlighted today. But the general construction of these are very heavy duty. These C-stands behind me are actually by Newer. I got them off of Amazon. Even though they're not the most expensive or the cheapest stands, they are actually very good for what you're paying. The other benefit that I find with C-stands is that they can be used for multiple things. So it's not just lights or cameras or microphones, but I actually put my backdrops on these stands as well. It allows me to be able to put a background up very quickly and chop and change when I'm shooting with clients. If I'm doing acting headshots particularly, they like a lot of different colored backgrounds or canvas backdrops, so being able to swap in and out very quickly is fantastic. So there you have it. There's my 5 non-technological essential pieces of equipment for every photo studio. If you've liked this video, please leave a thumbs up, and if you've really enjoyed it, please subscribe to this channel and help it grow. I really want to bring up more videos about photography that can benefit you, and leave a comment down below of what piece of equipment you find the most useful. Is it the same? Is it different? Let me know. Well, I really appreciate you being here, and until next time, stay safe and keep shooting.